My initial impressions of the new Pixel 9 devices was not great. Like, based off of that launch event, I thought that the hardware had very minimal updates, and then the AI software that they were headlining with just seemed not particularly impressive. So I was like, maybe they're not even gonna send me review units this year, but they showed up. And these phones are way better than I thought they would be, but for reasons that I just did not expect. So let's start off with the hardware. So the new shape, it's like a very flat back, very flat front, and I like it. I thought I wouldn't like enjoy the new shape and camera hump design as much, but after just a week of using it, I totally dig this new look. The other thing, the screens. So brighter screens and perfectly flat screens with even bezels that go around the whole device. I wouldn't say that the increased brightness this year is that noticeable in indoor environments, but when you're outdoors and the sun's just going full blast, you do notice the brighter screen on the Pixel 9 devices. The new fingerprint sensors are ultrasonic, so they don't shine light in the dark to unlock, but it doesn't seem any faster than the previous generation. It does seem a little bit more reliable, especially if your fingers are wet, but speed is pretty much the same. The haptics and the speakers are pretty much the same from this generation and the last, but the chip is where I noticed the first kind of surprising difference. So based off of just performance benchmarks, the new chip is barely faster. And it also, in classic Pixel fashion, does throttle down pretty quickly when you're playing heavy games at maximum graphics, but the battery life was very impressive on both the devices, particularly though on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. This is a very long-lasting device this year. All right, I want to move this conversation over to the more interesting and more important conversation of software. And right now, the big thing with phone software is AI, the use and integration of AI to improve the software experience. Or at least that's what the companies would try to have us believe. Okay, when it comes to the Pixel devices, I would attribute the software or the AI experience into kind of two pillars. First is the system software and how AI affects that, particularly with Google Gemini. And then the second thing is camera software and how Google has all these AI tools to improve that experience. We're gonna talk about both. Let's start off with the first thing, the system software. So you would expect, like if you're gonna sell a phone, if you're gonna sell a brand new Pixel 9 or Pixel 9 Pro phone, you would expect the Gemini experience to be special. Like if they're gonna pitch that, like if you look all the press material and all the kind of launch conversation, it was about Gemini this, Gemini that. And so I would just assumed that there would be so many exclusive features that lean on Gemini on this phone. And there aren't. There are three. So the first one, I'm just going to show you all of these things. So the first one is the ability to summarize a YouTube video using Gemini. So let's say I'm watching blonde-haired Linus right now, and instead of watching a full 23-minute video, let's say I want to just get a brief summary of it, I would launch Gemini, and I would tap this button here, and I'd say, hey, tell me a brief summary. Actually, it's not even listening. Give me a brief summary of this video. Keep it to like 4 or 5 sentences. And it'll take not a minute, like 10 seconds, and hopefully give me a summary. Now,
this video is
it can dictate it to you, but there's a summary. And this is a very cool feature. I feel like there's a lot of kind of long form content that people kind of just want to get the Cole's notes of it, right? I just want the quick, dirty version of it. And this is a very powerful tool that's built right into the Pixel phones that I think is exclusive to the Pixel 9 devices right now. That's neat. That's the first one. That's the first kind of Pixel 9 exclusive. The second thing that the Pixel 9s do is they have the Pixel Studio. So this is an AI image generation app or tool. And this is really good in the sense that I've played with so many of these, and this is actually what I think to be the easiest one to use, as well as reasonably powerful, but very fast, like strangely fast. So let's say I wanted to, let's go for a panda that's climbing a tree that has a bunch of rainbow axolotls on that tree, and make this tree a coniferous tree, not a deciduous one. And it's just seconds. There it is, a coniferous tree with a panda climbing it, and there's rainbow colored axolotls all over it. Now you can generate more of them. It's fairly quick. And this is all real time. I'm not like speeding it up or anything. And the thing that I found most interesting about this app is that it's remarkably easy to use. My 5-year-old daughter had this for like hours and just generating all these pictures and giggling and laughing. And it's neat from the perspective of like novelty. Because if I'm being honest, like, and these are cool, right? These are well drawn, but it's a novel. I don't want to use the word gimmick because that's got like a very negative connotation to it. But the novelty of this whole thing wears off quickly. This Bulbasaur, this guy's awesome. Look at this, right? A Bulbasaur, this is from my kid. Bulbasaur running across the water and he's being attacked or chased by a bunch of small bees. Perfect. And you can get more of them. So right now I think there's it's somehow producing copyright material, but who cares? It works. What it can't do right now is generate humans. Like, so if I wanted to create a human, I don't know, draw me a person doing this, it won't, because that's not, it's not part of the usage experience right now. Maybe it comes in the future. But this being the second kind of exclusive feature on the Pixel 9 devices is neat, but the thing you have to keep in mind is that it's such a novel toy. And the thing that I kind of want to draw or kind of keep in your mind is that if you're looking at this feature and you're like, wow, that's cool, I could use that. That would be fun. Absolutely, it's fun, but there's a ton of apps out there that do something very similar to this, maybe not as simple to use, and I don't think it should be a thing that makes you go in on this device. The other thing is that I wouldn't be surprised if this whole experience becomes slower as more and more people use it. Like right now, very few people have Pixel 9s and very few people are using Pixel Studio. So maybe the servers have a ton of bandwidth and a ton of processing capability to pump these things out super quick. It seems strangely fast. Just a thought. But that's it. That's Pixel Studio. A lot of fun, but how much utility does it have, really? Now, the third thing that is an exclusive to the Pixel 9 devices when it comes to kind of system software is screenshots. Now, this was demoed during the launch event, and it's got utility, but there are a couple things that you should be aware of. So first, what is the Screenshots app? So basically, it allows you to search through your potentially massive collection of screenshots for a specific or particular thing that you're looking for. So as you take screenshots, the app will process those screenshots and tag them with identifiers so you'll be able to search through them or for them within the app. Now, it does take a bit of time. So if you just took a screenshot and 2 seconds later you're trying to search it, it doesn't show up. It does need some processing time, and you can kind of force it to process certain images, but it does have utility. One thing I did notice, well, you know what? I'll just demo it real quickly. So this is the Screenshots app. Can you show me some screenshots I took of SB Dunks from Nike? And these are some of the shoes that I kind of was interested in over the past little bit. And then, you can just find stuff. And so another one you could search is just a demo. Can you show me some white watches that I was looking at? Now, sometimes you'll get kind of hallucinations, like this is clearly not a white watch, but because of the white background, maybe it tagged it with that color. But yeah, now there's a couple things to note here. First, there will be times when you take a screenshot that has language in that screenshot that is not supported by this app right now. So this one is an example of this. So this is a screenshot I took from just a Google search, and it's a pair of shoes. I like the color. There's English at the bottom here. I'll zoom in real quick. You can see the Nike SB Dunk. It's the April colorway that I think looks really nice. But because of the Japanese language on here, it decided that this was an image that it couldn't process. So once you take the shot, it kind of shows you right at the bottom that it couldn't process the screenshot due to an unsupported language, despite the fact that there's English in that screenshot. So it's just a little minor thing to keep in mind, at least right now. I'm sure over time that'll improve. But the second thing, and I think this is a more egregious problem with this whole Screenshots app, is that you need to be within the app itself to do the searching. Like if you're out on your home screen and you launch the regular Gemini app, can you show me some screenshots that I took of those Nike SB Dunks? It won't work. It'll either show you like Google image screenshots,
Sorry, I can't help with that. You can take a screenshot directly using your device.
or it'll give you that message. And it just basically tells you have to be within the screenshots app itself in order to search for it, which is, it makes sense, but it's not particularly convenient. But those are the three kind of exclusive features that I've found, at least, on the Pixel 9 devices. So the first being YouTube summarization, second being the Pixel Studio, and then the third thing being the Screenshots app. Now, there is another kind of like, it's not an exclusive, but there is a value-added feature that comes with the Pixel 9 devices. Sorry, the Pixel 9 Pro devices. So the Pixel 9 Pro, Pixel 9 Pro XL, and then the Fold. So those three devices get a 1-year subscription to Gemini Advanced. Now it's a $20 a month normally, so a 1-year subscription would be worth $240. But that kind of value add is, the question is, what does Gemini Advanced even do? So there's a few things. Let's break it down to three kind of big things. The first one is you get 2 terabytes of cloud storage from Google. So you can upload all your photos and videos and large files to Google's cloud. The second thing you get is the ability for Google's Gemini to ingest and analyze or process a large amount of like text data. So let's say you have a ton of documents and you want Google Gemini to summarize all this stuff or analyze it for whatever reason. You can upload massive amounts to it. You got a lot of tokens to do it. That's one of the benefits of Gemini Advanced. But the third and most interesting thing about Gemini Advanced is access to Gemini Live. And Gemini Live is Google's most advanced like chatbot. That's all it really is, just a chatbot like ChatGPT. But theirs is, at least in Google's mind, Gemini Live is the most advanced version of what they have. And the thing that's most interesting about it is that you can interrupt it. So I'll just demo it real quickly. So this is the regular Gemini app, but because I got that 1-year subscription, it's now Gemini Advanced, and I launched the Live app. And now we're in Live, and it's listening to me. Are you listening?
So I'm not quite sure what you mean by alive and listening. Maybe you could rephrase that.
Let's start over, because I was mid-speech. I am looking for a anniversary gift for my wife. This is going to be our 12th anniversary, so I'm looking for some suggestions.
That's a great question. The 12th anniversary is known as the silk or linen anniversary. So
actually,
looking for
sorry,
traditional,
I lied. It's not the 12th anniversary. It's actually our 13th anniversary. So what is the 13th anniversary?
The traditional gift for a 13th anniversary is lace. It's supposed to be delicate and beautiful.
So, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you real quick. I get it. Lace. Let's say,
your wife isn't really into lace.
Let's say I'm looking for some kind of Toronto-based itinerary so we could kind of do things together on our anniversary with our 2 kids. I have a 10-year-old boy and a 5-year-old daughter. We would like to do something as a whole family in the Toronto area where we could kind of like keep the itinerary relatively close and walking distance to each other. Could you kind of plan something for us?
I can definitely help you with that. Toronto has a ton of great family-friendly spots, especially if you want to stay close together. So for your anniversary, you could start the day off with a trip to the Toronto Zoo. They've got a brand...
So it's a very natural speech experience. And then you get the transcript when you're done with it. I don't think it's particularly unique. Like, I think the ChatGPT experience is similar to this. Obviously, this does have access to like Google Maps, and you can do a little bit more with it because of the integration with all of Google's stuff. But those 3 things are really the crux of Gemini Advanced, with Gemini Live being the star of the show. The overall problem that sticks out to me, though, is that the user needs to decide which AI assistant they're going to use and then launch the appropriate one. All 3 of these things are 3 separate AI experiences that need their own app and or launcher and or like activation process to activate, and then they don't interact with each other. As in the experience and the conversation that I have in screenshots, looking for a particular screenshot, does not, it's 3 different experiences that are very powerful, but just have very little like synergy. It's so Google, it's very on brand for them, but I find the experience just not great. Now, the second pillar of AI when it comes to Pixel's phones is their camera software. And the AI tools that Google has put into their camera software has always been really cool, but this year it's extra special. And I didn't realize this based off their launch announcement. So the main one that they demoed was their Add Me In feature. And if you'll remember, it's the AI feature that allows you to take a picture and then hand off the camera to a second person, and then now you can go in for that group shot. The camera tech works well, but when I was asking my family and friends to try it, there's definitely a learning curve to it. It's not something that's super easy to use, and also it can be kind of bothersome to get people to do a second photo. So I don't know if I'd use it very often, but it is neat in the sense of how it works or how well it works. Some other interesting AI features are the two new video boost features. So the first one is the new super res zoom. It's an incredibly powerful 20x zoom. So the way you do it is you just capture some video with the video boost enabled and you just punch into that 20x, and then that file gets sent out to the Google servers, it gets processed, and then it gets sent back a little while later. When you look at how punched in that is and how far away those things are, it's quite impressive. You also get access to 8K video. Now again, it's video that is sent to the Google servers, upscaled, and then sent back. And those files are huge. I think like 30 seconds of footage was almost a gig. There's also the new Magic Editor that allows you to kind of remove objects and replace it with your own creation. It is a very bizarre approach to photography. I feel like there's some use for it. I personally don't think I would ever use it, but it's available. The other thing that the Magic Editor can do is reframe pictures. So you may have a shot that didn't look particularly great, like this is a good example. If you run the auto frame on it, it will recompose the shot with a generative fill. So now added some extra street and buildings, and this new shot, the composition of it is way better than the original photo. But if you zoom in, you can see that there's just a whole bunch of AI goop instead of actual real imagery, but it is kind of neat if you have the right shot for it. Now the last AI tool I want to talk about is the zoom enhancement. This was something that was announced a long time ago, and it's finally here in beta, and it allows you to take a regular photo, zoom in, and then use AI to generate detail. And so this shot here is a pretty hard one. The car in this shot is really small, and there's not a lot of pixels or details to work with when it's zoomed in like this, but it's using AI to generate extra pixels to give it higher resolution. And it's just taking what its best guess is as to what those rims might look like. And it's okay, the zoom enhanced image does have more pixels and resolution, but it's not exactly accurate. I found that the zoom enhancement feature kind of works best with buildings, like simple buildings where you can just have these repeated patterns or kind of textures that the AI can generate easily. So that's some of the stuff that Google has put into the camera software. But in terms of the camera hardware itself, there's a few things I want to talk about. The first is the zoom. The telephoto on the Pixel 9 Pro is way better this year than the previous generation. I'm not sure if this is from the new sensor or some software trick, but it's very good. Video stabilization, though, still isn't great. The up and down movement is not bad, but the moment you move left and right and there's any kind of like panned movement, there's just weird artifacting with the videos. There's just a classic Pixel video quality. I'm surprised that in 2024 this is still the case. Obviously, this is not an easy thing for them to solve, but so many other brands have solved this issue at this point. The front-facing camera, so it's now a way higher resolution sensor. It's now 42 megapixels instead of the 11 megapixel of the previous generation. In terms of image quality, though, it's not a big jump. Like if you just kind of stare at them at regular distances without zooming in, they actually look quite similar. The new one, though, is wider. So if you want to do like kind of selfies with a bigger group, the Pixel 9 devices have a wider sensor. Now, in terms of pricing, this year's devices are $100 more than the previous generation, and those devices were $100 more expensive than the year before that, so it's been 2 years of price bumps. Now, when it comes to Google's Pixel devices, because they go on sale so aggressively, it's kind of hard to kind of take the pricing at face value. The MSRP is so elevated that these aren't real prices, what you see right now, because it's going to be like $200, $300, $400 cheaper typically. Like wait a couple months and it'll be there. But I would say that the AI features, like the kind of the system software features, like the Gemini and stuff, I don't feel like it's worth it. All of that stuff feels very easily brought onto older generations of phones if they wanted to. I don't know how much they're going to artificially gate that stuff, but I feel like all three of those features will be on older generation phones not too far away from now. But the camera features really surprised me. And because the camera hardware wasn't massively different from the previous generation, I wasn't expecting as big of a jump as we are seeing. But you can see it across the board. A lot of the AI tools that Google has applied to the whole camera experience are actually really powerful, arguably more powerful than any other smartphone brand right now. Okay, there you have it, the new Pixel 9 devices.